Testing.
Jeste, zato što jako moram da sednem, jer ja nemam gde. Da. Evo i Vlada, pa i Vlada sedne. Vlado. Distinguished professors and researchers, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished professors and researchers, ladies and gentlemen, the Faculty of Economics, University of Kragujevac, welcomes you at the 8th International Scientific Conference on Contemporary Issues in Economics, Business, and Management, EBM 2024. The EBM conference is a biennial scientific meeting that was first organized in 2010 with the objective of building research capabilities and thus improving the quality of research results in the fields of economics, business, and management. Today, we are delighted to welcome all conference participants from the country and abroad. Now, allow me to invite today's host, Professor Milena Jakšić, the Dean of the Faculty of Economics of the University of Kragujevac, to welcome you. Please.
Distinguished visitors, my fellow colleagues, dear students. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Faculty of Economics, University of Kragujevac, and to send my warmest welcome to all of you attending the 8th International Scientific Conference entitled Contemporary Issues in Economics, Business and Management, EBM 2024. The Faculty of Economics has successfully organized the International Scientific Conference, EBM, biannually since 2010, attending by distinguished members of the academic and social community. Taking into account complexity and diversity of contemporary issues in economics, business economics, and management, we singled out the following fields: key issues in management and marketing, globalization and regionalization, accounting and business finance, and applied informatics and quantitative methods in economics and management. The first section, referring to key challenges of management and marketing, the participants will present papers which deal with the various of strategic, corporate, sustainable, and human research management, corporate governance, corporate entrepreneurship, and other management and marketing aspects. The second section pointed to key challenges of globalization and regionalization. The participants will present the papers addressing macroeconomic topics such as sustainable economic development and policy, regional cooperation, digital transformation, and innovation and finance in global context. Within the section Accounting the Business Finance, the participants will discuss the areas of business performance measurement and profitability of companies operating primarily from the informatic technology, banking, and financial sectors, as well as higher education institutions. When we talk about the paper, including the section of applied informatics and quantitative methods in economics and management, the participants will discuss the application of various methods, models, and approaches, the concept of business and artificial intelligence. Since we function in a new business environment in 2024, thus the managers must redesign their strategy and operating system in order to react with greater agility, speed, and creativity than earlier. Today, we are going to try to draw together the latest economic and progressive thinking to provide a vision for a new economic era. Finally, before I wish all of you a very successful conference, let me point out that a good theory has always been a good platform for practice, and that the good scientists and researchers always ask new questions, dilemmas, and point out to new problems which would be a good topic for further research. Therefore, I believe that this conference will also be interesting and highly rewarding. Thank you and welcome to the conference EBM 2024.
On behalf of the University of Kragujevac, you will be bidden welcome by our distinguished rector, Professor Vladimir Ranković.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and dear students. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all to the 8th International Scientific Conference on Contemporary Issues in Economics, Business and Management, EBM 2024, here at the Faculty of Economics, University of Kragujevac. As director of this esteemed institution, and I'm delighted to see such a diverse and distinguished gathering of scholars, practitioners, and students from around the world. Your presence here today is testament to the importance and the relevance of the topics we will be discussing over the next few days. At the University of Kragujevac, we are committed to fostering an environment of academic excellence, innovation, and inclusivity. Our Faculty of Economics has a long-standing tradition of contributing to the advancement of economic thought and practice, and this conference is a reflection of our dedication to these values. Over the next few days, we will have the opportunity to hear from leading experts in the field of economics, business, and management, We will engage in thought-provoking discussions, explore cutting-edge research, and build networks that will extend beyond the confines of this conference. I encourage you all to actively participate, ask questions, and share your insights. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the organizing committee, Ministry of Science, and volunteers who have worked tirelessly to make this conference possible. Your dedication and hard work are truly appreciated. In closing, I wish you all a productive and inspiring conference. Thank you and welcome to EBM 2024.
Now, I kindly ask Professor Dejana Zlatanovic, the president of the program committee, to officially open the conference.
Distinguished colleagues, dear rector and dear dean, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the program committee of the 8th International Scientific Conference on Contemporary Issues in Economics, Business and Management, EBM 2024. The EBM conference has been organized since 2010 by the Faculty of Economics, University of Kragujevac, as a biennial event with the main purpose of enabling researchers and academics to meet and share their knowledge and experiences. 14 years after our first EBM conference, we have a different economic and business landscape, as well as new challenges and issues we are facing. In an era marked by technological innovation and geopolitical uncertainties, organizations must take into account various factors to remain sustainable and competitive. Issues such as inflation, pandemic consequences, recession, and increasing emphasis on sustainable issues are reshaping traditional business models. Furthermore, the integration of artificial intelligence, cultivating agility, accelerating digital transformation and innovation, adapting to the future of work, adopting ESG as a part of business models, and also evolving regulatory framework are also redefining how businesses operate and interact with their markets. Therefore, if we want to make adequate responses to these challenges, we need to develop new frameworks that can capture the complexities of modern societies. According to the findings presented in the papers which we accepted for this conference, I strongly believe that participants at today's conference will offer some answers and raise some new questions for further research. This year, we brought together 127 authors and participants from different countries, such as Poland, Italy, Spain, Ukraine, France, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Russia, Belarus, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, North Macedonia, Bulgaria, Romania, as well as our dear colleagues and participants from several faculties across Serbia, including faculties from Subotica, Belgrade, Niš, Vrnjačka Banja, Čačak, Novi Pazar, and Kragujevac. We received the papers from the following fields: key issues in management and marketing, then globalization and regionalization, accounting and business finance, and applied informatics and quantitative methods in economics and management. The final program includes a plenary session with 3 distinguished keynote speakers and also 8 parallel sessions with 57 papers. We believe that this number of authors and participants present a good indicator of conference success, and also, I would say, a rising interest in our conference. I want to express my gratitude to all the participants and authors who supported the conference and contributed to resolving the above-mentioned issues. I would like to express my special appreciation to our distinguished keynote speakers, These are Professor Alfonso Vargas Sanchez from University of Huelva, Spain, Professor Maria Cristina Cinici from University of Messina, Italy, and Professor Vladimir Genopolyat, Zayed University, United Arab Emirates. Thank you for accepting our invitation and making your effort to contribute to our conference. Conferences always provide an opportunity to present your research, to receive feedback, raise questions, and give some answers. But more than that, conferences always provide an opportunity to network with your colleagues, to make friends and enjoy a new culture. Therefore, I hope you will have all of that at today's EBM 2024 conference. Once again, I would like to welcome all the participants. I wish you a fruitful discussion, and I hope you will find your participation at the EBM conference a rewarding experience. Finally, I declare the conference open. Thank you very much.
Many thanks to the Dean and Rector for their welcoming remarks, and special thanks to the President of the Program Committee for her efforts in making this conference happen. Now we will proceed to the working part of the conference. As you can see in the program, the conference consists of plenary session and 8 parallel sessions. In order to start with the plenary session, let me invite our first keynote speaker to address the audience, Professor Alfonso Vargas Sanchez from the Huelva University, Spain, who will share with us his insights on the challenge of interconnected transformations.
I'll try to use all these devices according to the advices I have received. Hopefully, I was successful doing that. Otherwise, we have help here. Okay. That way. Okay, thank you very much. So, respective rector, dean, president of the organizing committee, distinguished audience, dear colleagues. First of all, this is a real honor to be here. So thank you for having me in this conference or giving me the opportunity to address you this morning. These are not protocolary words. This is something heartfelt. It's really important for me to be here and to share with you some ideas, hopefully of some interest and usefulness for all of you, I hope. Well, you know the title of the presentation. Of course, I'll try to respect the available time for this. And first of all, let me tell you that I'm going to try to convey to you one single idea. One single idea with some complexities, with some ramifications, but one single idea within its own context and framework. This context and framework will be the introduction of this presentation. Then the main idea I would like to share with you this morning, and final conclusions. But first of all, let me start with somebody you know much better than me. Probably one of the most outstanding scientists, Serbian scientists, very well known worldwide, which is Nikola Tesla. And Nikola Tesla, I will refer this gentleman at the end of my presentation if I have enough time. But Nikola Tesla said that let the future tell the truth and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs. The future for which I have really worked is mine. So this is my manner to tell you that we are going to talk about the future, a little bit about the future. about what is coming as a result of some changes we are experiencing in our economies, in our societies around the world. So the world is changing, of course, but just to say that is nothing, is to say nothing. It's changing because of the technology revolution that is coming faster than we think, probably. So it's already there, the convergence of a number of different technologies, which are in mind of all of us, for sure. Even this morning, we will have the opportunity with my colleagues, keynote speakers, to refer something about neuroscience or artificial intelligence. There are many others, and this process of convergence provides an extra complexity of the transformations our companies have to experience. It's because globalization, we live in a global economy. If you like, we can introduce some nuances about globalization, especially after the pandemic, but generally speaking, we can accept that we still have in a global world economy demographical shifts, so aging population, migrants flows. So this represent normal challenges for all of us, for our societies, and also for companies. Social progress, so emerging economies. So India, for example, is a tremendous example of how these new giants can reshape the global landscape, or the environmental change, absolutely. Environmental sustainability, climate change, and so on. Well, all this is happening at the same time. So this is why our challenge is enormous, and the transformation is something we have to address without any doubt. Just offering you an example about one of the industries I was working more extensively in the last couple of decades. I has been working a lot in the services industry, generally speaking, especially tourism, leisure, and so on. So if you have a look to the leisure industry, so this industry is changing dramatically. For example, who makes the leisure content? Well, now the content is done by the combination of artificial intelligence and crowd intelligence. So this is interaction between machine and humans. So what kind of content? So in the past, the content was passive. Well, there was a content there, we try to enjoy them. Now this content is active. We can play an active role in the definition of that content. So it's fully immersive in a virtual reality world. In some occasions, we cannot distinguish very well which is real life, virtual life, okay? And, well, customization, of course, customization. We have the ability to personalize, to customize this kind of content. And where to enjoy this kind of content? Here, there, and everywhere. In the past was here, at the moment you enjoy this kind of experiences. Now you can enjoy here, there, and everywhere. This is something that has changed and is reshaping dramatically this industry. Just an example. So I have mentioned a number of challenges. I have tried to summarize perhaps the most important of them, the most outstanding from my point of view. We are under a perfect storm of change on the horizon of its speed, scale, and scope. This is the real characteristic of why the current change is different that change in other times in the past, because the speed, scale, and scope of that change. Why? So the pandemic is unavoidable. A reference to the pandemic has been a milestone, something unavoidable. Well, in general, we can say that now we are more concerned about crises, different kind of crises, not only health crisis, but natural disasters or economic crisis as well. So we pay more attention to that. Safety is a more critical issue, security as well. And if we connect this factor with the technological revolution, so we have mentioned cybersecurity, of course. Well, the technological revolution with the convergence of a number of different technologies at the same time represents an enormous challenge, as I mentioned before, and we try to be more and more smart. So smartness became a new paradigm. Our ability to use massive amount of data to understand better our problems and to make better decisions. So this idea of smartness. And then we have sustainability with all the problems connected with climate change and circular economy. I mentioned particularly circular economy because, as you know, this has been the way that the European Union and also China, even China before the European Union, we have chosen to improve our environmental sustainability record. So how to become more sustainable, changing from a linear economy into a circular economy. So this represents also a huge transformation. Well, in other words, there are three main transformations: digital transformation, environmental transformation, and also the social one, with some interactions between the three, with particular challenges in the interactions between each of them. But at the heart of this intersection, in the intersection between the three, what is being born is a new type of company, a new type of company. And I would like to share with you my view about that. Perhaps my view is an utopic view. You can say, well, this is an utopia. But utopia moves the world, my dear colleagues. So this is not my single view. It's shared with other colleagues, of course. But before, to summarize this introduction, this framework, companies are feeling an increasing pressure to become more customer-centric, more digital and automated, more agile and flexible, and of course, more sustainable, environmentally and socially, okay? And economically, obviously. But now it's time for my single idea. This was the introduction, this was the framework. My single idea. Well, my single idea is based on this gentleman. All of us know Pete Drucker with this famous quotation that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So in other words, the inertia of the past often prevents the shift to a new future. Instead, search for new visions and narratives that better enable and support the organization's new realities. So as you can see, I have underlined new visions and narratives. This is my purpose, to share with you a new vision, right? Well, in the last times, we have heard a lot, we have read and studied a lot about, for example, ethical companies, responsible companies, sustainable companies, even big corporations, benefit corporations. All of us are familiar with these ideas. Ethical, we have to promote more ethical companies, more responsible companies, more sustainable companies, figures such as the B Corp. Well, we try to integrate all these different visions in one single concept. It's the concept of harmony, the creation of a harmonious enterprise. This is the single idea I wanted to share with you. The creation of an harmonious enterprise, right? So harmony is like similar to beauty. When something is very beautiful, this is something you can see you can feel, even you can touch in some occasions, right? This is something similar. When you find an harmonious company, you can recognize this harmony. Harmony between people and nature, harmony between business owners and workers, harmony between business and the common good of the community in which this company works, harmony in different fields, different aspects. Something recognizable. Although beauty has different meanings for different people, harmony is something similar, and we need to define to have a common understanding about what we are talking about. So the main characteristics of a harmonious enterprise is the search of the well-being of all the actors in the ecosystem of that company, both internal and external stakeholders. The search of a balance, this idea of balance, for example, balance between company's operations and natural environment, a balance between our business, making money, and the well-being of our employees, the well-being of the local community which we are part of, the search of a common good. Of course, this is something we have to define together. And the common good with sustainable choices, and searching for excellence in everything we do, and a long-term horizon. So putting our decision in the timeline in the long-term horizon. Of course, learning from the past. Don't forget in the past. Recognizing the current implications today, now, but also paying attention of the implications in a long-term vision of what is going to happen. And the main results of this harmonious enterprise should be competitiveness and profit. So what is happening if there is no harmony in our company? Well, you see the column fall down, the company doesn't work. There is no harmony between, for example, this relationship between business owners or business managers and employees. We have problems. If there is no harmony between the company's operations and the natural environment, we will suffer some problems. So lack of harmony means the destruction, let's say, of the company. Well, these are the ramifications. These are the ramifications. This is the core idea, and there are some ramifications to understand better what's the idea I'm trying to communicate to you. Well, these are the 5 ramifications. Probably we don't have enough time to develop all of them, but first of all, it's a more detailed understanding about what is it, its main characteristics, how it works, what drives it, and finally, why is it competitive? What is it? Be more specific. Well, a company is like a polyphony, right? There are many actors, many voices with something to say about how the company should work, with different ideas, different views, different understandings, right? It's like a polyphony. If we want a company to work properly, in that polyphony, we have to recognize an internal consonance and concord. So I think this is easy to understand. So if some people in the company think that the right direction is this, and some other people in the company think that the right direction is the opposite, then we have a problem. There is a lack of harmony, right? So we need to align this. Imbalance with the ecosystem. So it's very important to enlarge our view and to see the interconnections we have with the different actors in our ecosystem and trying to create a balanced, harmonious relationship with all of them. right? This includes, for example, suppliers, clients. We need to create this kind of balance, interconnections with them. And the pursuit of the well-being for all. Oh, this is very important. So a few weeks ago, because I'm trying to write a case study about an harmonious enterprise. Perhaps this is the first time we have heard this idea of a harmonious enterprise. I was talking with an entrepreneur, which is at the same time a chef. It's a restaurant, a group of restaurants. He was awarded with a green Michelin star, green, a sustainable Michelin star. He was awarded last year. And talking with him, I said, he agreed with me. Your business is not serving food to people. Your business is the well-being of your clients. Your business is the well-being of your employees. Your business is the well-being of the nature around you. This is your business. If you are able to create this kind of relationships, then profit will come spontaneously, right? And he said, I agree with you. Let's write the case. More specifically, some characteristics. Use instead of consumption. Well, you can think, well, this is connected with circular economy and so on. That's true. But consumption, which is a traditional idea, means destruction. When you consume something, you destroy what you are consuming. Am I correct? So, but when you use, the product is still alive. Others can use it, for example, right? It's still in the economy, okay? So we have to change our mind about this, use instead of consumption.
Except food, sorry.
Sorry?
Food. If we use food.
Okay, that's fine. Talking about the restaurant. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. I have been talking about the restaurant, so your point is very, very pertinent. But in general, no, to say you understand me. So the search of common good with sustainable choices, I think this is something we can understand pretty easily, I think. And the pursuit of excellence in everything we do, in everything the company and every member in the company does every day. And this means, have a look to this. This is connected with the idea of a strategy, right? With the idea of a strategy. It's speed and slowness at the same time. So a strategy is, let's go, take advantage of this opportunity. But at the same time, in some occasions, it's important to say, hold on, wait, think, reflect about what is happening. Before acting, thinking, reflecting. So it's a combination of both. Sometimes it's speed, sometimes it's slowness, sometimes it's time for action, and sometimes it's time for thought. Sometimes it's rationality, pure rational decisions, and sometimes it's intuition. So we have to bear this in mind as well. And how it acts. Profit's not the goal. It's not the main goal, but well-being. Profit's not the main goal, but well-being. So profit will raise as a result of that well-being, the well-being of all the actors, stakeholders in the company's ecosystem. So profit arises from the diffusion of well-being. Long-term horizon for decision-making, something I referred before. There are some vectors of change of particular importance for the creation of an harmonious enterprise and some values. For example, imagination, creativity, emotions, technology, knowledge, skills. Well, you have a list of values here. that can help us to recognize an harmonious enterprise, our capacity for learning, recognizing beauty, respect, trust, the sense of us, dialogue, giving, care, sharing, humility, dreams, tenacity, optimism, play, rhythm, speed and slow at the same time. It's balance, right? Lightness, kindness, responsibility. And why is it competitive? Is it competitive? Because an enterprise in which it's nice to be. So if you see that in a company, for example, workers feel at ease, it's a good sign. If you find that in a company, clients feel at ease, this is a good sign. At least we are in the right direction. We are in the right way. So it's a place in which it's nice to be. It's beautiful. I'm going to be more specific in a moment. And as a result, competitiveness emerged from that beauty. Beauty in the sense that this is a lively company that explores frontiers and detests borders, that welcomes diversity, doesn't fear conflict, appreciates commitment and not just the results, hosts moments of silence, produce sounds and not noises, is willing to move on roads that apparently go nowhere. It acts according to logic and common sense, even it is aware that a pitch of nonsense can reveal reality. It considers work a continuous challenge, but also a game which people can realize part of their aspirations. So this is part of an harmonious enterprise. So just to conclude and respect basically the time, let me use a quotation for a very well-known company, which is Toyota. Now we are in the discussion about what's the future of the automobile industry. Is the electric car or a different kind of car, the green hydrogen car? We don't know. Somebody said, customers are going to ultimately decide what kind of car they want. Whatever they choose will be there. Whatever they choose will be there. So, my distinguished audience, companies are now facing their greatest enemy, which is uncertainty. So the world is more uncertain than ever. And this demands from us humility, to be very humble, also very honest, to recognize that we have no idea of what is going to happen. We have no idea about what is going to happen. So how to deal with this challenge? So it's a redefinition of the company's strategy and the redefinition of the company as a whole. So the strategy of the company as an evolving portfolio of strategic experiments, as an engine of possibilities. This is the new idea. An ongoing culture of hypothesis, experimentation, and adaptation. Whatever they want will be there. So we need to experiment and to be ready to match customers' expectations. But this is my particular addition, keeping the company harmonious. So this is absolutely essential. So this is the end. And if you allow me half a minute, do you allow me half a minute? One of the very first things, so I spent 3 days in Belgrade before coming here. One of the very first things I did was to visit Nikola Tesla Museum. It's a small museum, very interesting. Very interesting to see that was full of young people, And I took note of a quotation that was in a panel. So Mr. Tesla said, I don't know exactly when, but approximately 1 century ago, he said, we are living in an age of unprecedented technical achievements, leading to a more and more complete mastery of forces of nature and annihilation of time and space. It sounds very current, right? 1 century ago, more or less. But, he adds, this development, while contributing to our comfort, convenience, and safety of existence, is not in the direction of true culture and enlightenment. On the contrary, it is destructive of ideals. Very important, the last sentence. The real cause for the fall of nations is the inability of mankind to solve the social, moral, and spiritual problems. This was said by a scientist, by a technician. So, moral, social, moral, and spiritual problems. Lack of harmony. Okay, this was anticipated by Tesla more or less 1 century ago. So thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Sanchez. And you, dear participants, remember your questions. You will have a chance in the end of the session to ask them. Now let us proceed to the next presentation, which will be given by Professor Maria Cristina Cinici from the University of Messina, Italy, who will have a presentation entitled From Brain to Business, the Neuroscientific Foundations of Management. Please.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to all of you for being here, and thanks a lot to the organizer for giving me the chance to present some of my insights on neuroscience, and specifically on neuroscientific foundations in management. I'll try to manage my time, the time that I am at my disposal with the timer. So, what is neuroscience, and what we know, what is basically how neuroscience is defined? According to this broad definition of neuroscience, neuroscience basically studies our brains. Neuroscience basically looks at how our brains works, functions, and develop over time. The interesting thing is that neuroscience is interested not only in how brains works, but also in how brains shape, and they are shaped by our experience and our behaviors. And specifically, neuroscience is interested in interconnection among our genes, the experience, the brain, and the behavior. Genes basically are our biological blueprints. They determine, they influence the structure, how brains is a structure, how brains works. The experience, our experience, is responsible for a special mechanism, a special ability of our brain, that is the ability to rewire and adapt according to our experience. The brain is our processor. Basically, our brain processes and determines our decision-making, our behaviors according to the experience, according to our genes. And because of these features, neuroscience has entered in management fields. Neuroscience has entered in management fields thanks to Angelica Di Moca, that is a scholar in information systems. She is one of the first authors to maintain and to assume that neuroscience can offer new insights into the complex interplay between IT, so information technology, and information processing, decision-making, and behavior among people, organizations, and markets. But neuroscience entered in management not only because of its scientific and theoretical approaches. It entered in markets in our field because real cases of firms using neuroscience is exponentially increasing. This is according to a recent news from NASA. NASA has launched neurofeedback training for the astronauts to help astronauts to manage stress, emotional stress, to manage basically their mental health issue, because we know that astronauts face this kind of experience in order, of course, and they are using neurofeedback techniques to support managers, to support astronauts in order to make and to increase the success rates of these missions. So neuroscience has entered. We can see that the publications of neuroscience has increased over the last 20 years, especially after the 2010. We can see the publication trend. We can see also the citations trend is also increasing. This means that neuroscience maybe is not a niche, is not anymore a niche in management. Actually, bibliometrics says us that neuroscience scholars and neuroscience field has grouped itself into 3 key clusters. Basically, the most ancient cluster is the neuroeconomics. It's basically composed by scholars who were interested in the interaction between the IT, the information processing and behavior. And so these are scholars based on in information system fields. But neuroscience, the second cluster that you can read, that you can see, the red ones, is composed by, basically refer to consumer neuroscience. It's basically refer to the consumer behavior, the consumer decision making in their experience to consume, to buy, to acquire, to buy basically new product. Only lately, neuroscience has entered also in organizational field. In organizational field, and the scholars in organizational fields basically looked at leadership. These clusters is also reflected in the networks of authors who approach neuroscience in their study. The difference between these 3 groups is in their roles. Basically, neuroeconomics provides the theoretical foundations to neuroscientific fields in management, while marketing scholars contribute to the diffuse. In fact, you can see the management scholar at the heart of the co-citation of the authors network. So marketing scholars basically contribute to the diffusion of knowledge about neuroscience in management. And if we look also at the topics that they specifically explored and looked at, we know that, our topic analysis showed that we have really short list of topics in which, to which management has focused, to which management scholars have, explored. A great amount of scholars basically had the intention and the aim to justify the value added of neuroscience in management. So we have a lot of works that explain us why neuroscience could be important for management scholars and why management scholars should also implement neuroscientific works. And then, except of this, that is, an evident topic, we have the main topic discussed by management scholars is related to decision making. It's related in particular to consumer decision making. And we have some other topics that actually are less explored. For example, organizational studies has focused themselves on leadership basically, or on stress management by scholars. You can see and you can imagine that immediately what we can see is that marketing fields or management applications in management has impacted real world much more than other fields like strategy, like innovation, like entrepreneurship has done so far. My provocative stance is that to restrict neuroscience applications only to increase firm sales, only to manage consumer behavior, I think that if we do only this, we are losing an opportunity. We are losing an opportunity to enhance basically the decision-making at the individual, team, and the system and the societal level. We are losing the opportunity to look at different neuroscience applications. So basically at the level of cognitive, so basically how individuals manage stress, uncertainty, risk, and also to enhance decision-making, to address long-term decisions or decisions that can have an impact on society. If we look at the individual level, the main cognitive applications or the main questions that we can ask to ourselves can be about decision-making, again, under uncertainty, under stress resilience and creativity. But also, we could address questions that regards what is the individual contributions to larger systemic goals, for example, in terms of sustainability, what is the personal responsibility that individuals feel toward ethical choices, toward, for example, sustainability. And there is a recent work published by Oms, Professor Frederick Oms. He's one of the most prominent scholars in the neuroscience field and is trying to push neuroscience in entrepreneurship. And what he does is to explore the cognitive flexibility of habitual entrepreneurs at the frontier of entrepreneurship and neuroscience. And basically, the results of this, he used fMRI, he used EEG, electroencephalogram, to demonstrate that habitual entrepreneurs have higher cognitive flexibility than less experienced entrepreneurs and managers. And the study, except for these findings, that is always a good finding, I mean, a good finding for entrepreneurship study, but he ends the paper with the provocative question. Basically, are these observed differences be or made? To what extent, basically, we can train our entrepreneurs? To what extent we can train our managers to have experience with the stressful situation? Think about managers in difficult board of directors. Think about entrepreneurs that face a stressful situation. If they are used to face this situation, maybe, so if they are trained to face this situation, maybe the efficiency of their decisions could be higher. But also, we have, for example, real-world applications. Unilever, that is one of the most, one of the firms that mostly use neuroscience in their activities. Unilever has started to use neuroscientific simulation to train managers in ethical decision-making. Basically, using functional fMRI, they are uncovering and revealing unconscious biases of managers. And they can guide leaders, they can guide managers to have more ethical decisions. At the organizational level, at the team level, neuroscience can enhance group coordination, can enhance emotional intelligence, can align basically the teamwork to the societal needs and to the societal needs for diversity, for equity, for inclusions. And we have a global neuroscientific projects that at the global level these scientists are basically studying the interconnectivity of brains. These results are promising for improving the workflow among workers. And so the practical applications of this study could be to design better organizational workflows, to optimize communication, to reduce the stress, to improve creativity, but also can be applied to leadership training, to team coordination, and in general, to the whole decision-making process. At the societal level, neuroscience can enhance our understanding and can pass scholars to address ethical challenges at the societal level, including fairness, policy, and equity. Right now, me and my group are conducting a study on how citizens react to entrepreneurs' speech and languages on sustainable changes. You know that one of the main ability and capability of entrepreneurs is to have a good storytelling, to justify to the audience changes, actions, and their strategies in general. And we are studying by basically analyzing the reaction of the audience to these languages. Our aim is to help entrepreneurs to frame in a proper way the sustainable language. We are in the process of, at the stage of collecting data, and we are having good results and good chance to obtain, interesting results. But at the societal level, we can look also at large-scale, long-term challenges, such as sustainability, social resilience. You know, it's like to look at the neurofeedback for training communities, for training sustainable communities, for monitoring the stress of people that belong to these communities. Actually, neuroscience and the applications of neuroscience is challenging. And applications of neuroscience raise a lot of concerns. First of all, we should face ethical concerns. You know, for example, that Facebook used eye tracking, so analyze the movement of our eyes to adjust and to improve the advertisement efficacy. This is an important concern because it's like to harness the individual autonomy in choosing, the individual autonomy in to align, for example, with organizational goals. What we need to address this concern is to provide ourselves and our scholars with ethical guidelines, with protocols, strict protocols to manage neural data. But it's not only the only challenge that we are facing. We have technological limitations. I mentioned some tools that are fMRI, EEG, or other psychometric tools that we can employ in our neuroscientific studies. The problem is that all these technological tools are really high cost. They cost a lot, and the problem is that we cannot use, as scholars of management, we don't have the ability to use. We need to collaborate with doctors. And it's difficult to translate the laboratory results into real-world application. And in my personal experience, it's difficult, for example, to bring entrepreneurs in a real lab and to put on their heads, helmets and say, okay, now we know what you are really thinking. That's a real problem for entrepreneurs. You can do that more easily with consumers. As consumers, we are more prone to release this kind of information. For entrepreneurs and for managers, there is much more resistance. Additionally, we have to face with what authors calls reductionist critics. Basically, we are assuming that behaviors is the direct consequence, the direct effect of what we think. We are completely ignoring all the social, cultural, interaction with the context. And it's a problem that we should face that we have to justify, okay, in our study. And neuroscience is, of course, an interdisciplinary research. And like any interdisciplinary research, has a problem of collaboration. In the collaboration of, in this specific case, we have to search a collaboration for management and neuroscientific fields. The problem is that there is a high resistance in management scholars to accept messages, findings, or doctors, medical suggestions. Maybe we have to rethink about our PhD school, our PhD programs, and include also this kind of training, at least to interpret the results. Of course, we are not doctors, we are not experts in health issue, but we could train our PhD students in translating these results into real cases, into our products. So, to wrap up, neuroscience can offer us a lot of insights, can help us to enhance our decision making, can drive our entrepreneurs, managers' decisions, and managers' behavior. We can look at and we can employ neuroscience in different applications. The aim, the ambition is to bring neuroscience in unexplored areas, such as strategy, innovation, because as I said to you before, neuroscience has been focused and centered only on marketing and neuroeconomics. And as regards organizational studies, basically, neuroscience has been applied only on leadership. So my aim is that some of these thoughts has inspired you and your work. Thanks a lot. I'm perfectly in time. 2 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Now, Professor at the University in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Professor Vladimir Genopolyets. He will speak about active learning and generative AI in higher education, balancing innovation with responsibility. Please.
Thank you very much. And thank you for introducing me. I'm not sure if I'm being heard, just to make sure. Okay. So I bet you're looking forward to the lunch break, right? Me too. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today. So very simple. I'm going to talk about, while we wait, I'm going to talk about students and faculty members. I'm going to talk about technology, and I'm going to talk about pizza. So let's give it a shot. So the topic that I'm trying to discuss is what I'm actually doing at my college currently. So it's not high science like my distinguished 2 colleagues were talking about. So I'm going to be more, down to earth and talk about the things that bother me. Yes, so I need to press this in order to start working, right? Yeah. So when I talk about AI, I'm going to be talking more about the generative AI. And we have like 3 major roads where the AI is developing towards. And this is the simplest one, believe it or not. So I'm sure you all used or are using ChatGPT for numerous tasks and things in every day in your classes or whatever. So in my experience, yeah. So when I was preparing for this class, for this session, I asked the ChatGPT to suggest, what I'm going to talk about. So this is the response I got. Sure, but don't abuse me. I'm not your teaching assistant. So, so I didn't. Anyway, many topics were already mentioned that we were facing the challenges like coronavirus pandemic. Then we faced like the increase in online teaching. By the way, at our college, we still practice the hybrid model of teaching. So we have some classes which are online and some are face-to-face. But we are also trying to implement something called active learning, which I'm sure we heard about. So the way we see it is that the faculty members should not talk much, right? The students are there to actively engage in class, and the faculty members are those who need to facilitate the class. So this is what we're trying to do. But in combination with online teaching and the rise of generative AI, we immediately face the problem. I'll show you. The reason why this is going a little bit slowly because of it's taking the presentation from the internet. So I hope we'll have a few minutes. It's a minute and a half, I believe, a short video about how we teach, so that instead of me wasting your time and talking about it, maybe we can just turn on the volume and listen for 2 minutes. And then I will continue. I think I pressed. See, I did so. Yep.
The Active Learning Forum is the unexpected learning forum, a place where you're constantly engaging with learning.
As a Nervous student, I get to take classes from anywhere in the city.
All of the Nervous classes are taught in the seminar format with a maximum of 18 students.
Everyone agrees that higher education could be much better than it is today. Nervous acting on that by putting together state-of-the-art technology and superb pedagogy. We have at our fingertips tools that are designed to engage the students 100% of the time.
Characterize a problem that's important that it helps guide you to the solution.
Perfect, that's excellent.
In a normal classroom, there's people behind you, there's people to the side of you, but it's nice to be able to see everybody and their reactions to what's being talked about in class.
I feel like I'm in a room with all of my students. I simply forget I'm on the computer. You will be going into breakout groups?
It's the kind of learning where we're an active participant instead of passive recipient, and it's so much more fun than a traditional class.
We are the only school in the world that uses the science of learning to design not just what we teach, but how we teach it.
Nervous students live and study together. Having that human interaction really strengthens the online class experience.
We can do things with education that is simply never been possible before. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yes. We don't need the audio anymore. Thank you very much. So in a nutshell, we do the classes like this. Students come online and they interact. We see what they do. We see when they raise hands. We have all this data that we can work with. So that's the data I use for my preliminary research. However, we came up to a obstacle, right? Or a help. So we all use ChatGPT. And if you look closely, ChatGPT was officially announced November 30th, 2022. So that's the first time that actually became approachable by the public, right? And immediately the students, at least the students I teach, caught on and they started using it heavily on everything, right? Because we have, by the way, we don't have exams. We don't have verbal exams. We only have in-class assignments and essays and stuff like that. So what happened? I used the data. Yeah, this is our nice campus. I used the data for 2 semesters, two consecutive semesters to initiate research to see the impact of ChatGPT on active learning. Now, the data is very basic and it's just preliminary stage. I'm still waiting for the final approval of the ethics committee to receive. But in the preliminary stage, I took students from fall 2022 semester and students from spring 2023. So if you remember, November 2022 was the day then ChatGPT started to be very popular. So just 1 semester, like 1 month difference. These are some of the things that we measure. These are the measures in research. So all this data that I'm mentioning here, I have it. this is how we see whether students are engaged or not. Like student grade, number one. Then student talk time in class. I can see to the second how many minutes and seconds they talked actually, right? Et cetera, et cetera. I'll talk about this in a few seconds. So here are the preliminary results. And I'm saying this very cautiously because it's still in the starting stage. So might not be, we might not be able to generalize it completely. But this is something that I was anticipating and I was afraid of. Number one. So I just took the average student grade between 2 semesters to see if there is any significant difference. And students got smarter. I cannot attribute maybe everything to the AI, but I'm suspecting it, right? Anyway, more importantly, the grade is just the outcome. It's not the main goal. Average student talk time in class, boom, 39% decrease. So they're not talking as much. And this is a significant decrease. Then we have other data like average student hand raises. When I say hand, I mean virtual hand in class, in the forum that I explained, 13% decrease. Then we have, what else? Student votes when they engage. So if I ask a question, we analyze a case study. They come across and they give the votes, whether they agree with the statement or disagree, et cetera, et cetera. So now, after this, we have 33% decrease in this as well. Then, student reactions, like 71%. Reactions mean if they are engaged, they can send emojis, like in text messages. So the newer generations are much more familiar with it. But 70% decrease only in this. Then we have total student signals in class. Everything they send us during one class, 50% decrease. I can go on and on. Student talk in breakouts. This means we monitor when we divide them into groups. So 4 students per group. They go inside, they discuss, they work on a problem, come out of it, etc. So we have 35% decrease in these discussions as well. But remember, the average grade went up. So something doesn't add up in my mind. Okay, so what is the issue? Again, as I said, we cannot generalize the data yet. It's still very fresh, and I don't have big sample. But the very interesting point there is that, you know which course I took here, which as an example? It's called Applied Creative and Critical Thinking. So, which is even worse if they don't communicate in a critical thinking course. I am presenting this to my dean and to my colleagues at the university. We'll see what actions will be taken. I hope some. But what are the main challenges, right? The main challenges is that I'm not against AI. I'm not against ChatGPT. I use it every single day for lots of things. But I'm not using it as for areas which I'm not familiar with, for example. If a student comes in and does the AI thingy for any discussion, any class we see, it can be visible and we can recognize it. But again, they rely on it. And later on, some of my students, yeah, I'll tell you a funny story because I have 9 minutes and 36 seconds left. I'll tell you a funny story that I had a student which I saw they have like 100% AI, the whole assignment, 20 pages. And it was about connectedness index between 3 countries, actually 2 countries. So I asked him, I called him to my office. And I said, look, why did you choose Brazil and Japan for your assignment? Then he started defending himself. I did this because Brazil is this, Japan, whatever. When in fact, he used Germany and Canada. So he wasn't aware what was in his assignment, right? So the critical thinking drops. And again, I'm not against AI. We cannot forbid it. One of my colleagues from Canada, he said, ChatGPT is like a calculator, right? We used to say, when you have the calculator, I'll forget how to multiply things. Well, let's see how many of us now use the paper and pen to do multiplication, the simplest divisions and whatnot. But it is our joint responsibility as faculty members and students as well to kind of balance these things out, right? We need to teach the students how to use it critically. I use it for research. And I asked, give me a few papers about this topic. And then the AI, as we all know, hallucinates. It gave me papers that do not exist. But then I asked the question, why did you give me these papers? Oh, that's just an example. So he started talking to me. No, it's just an example, but I can find more relevant and real examples. So it's kind of scary, interesting, exciting, call it whatever you want. I like it personally, but still we have ethical responsibility to teach the students. We also recommended that in the first year, we teach them how to use AI ethically. So we tell them, okay, use it, but we will tell you how to do it in a proper way. Also, I'm not going to read all these things. You can see from the presentation itself. The important thing is that we don't use it as a crutch. Now, Apple has introduced Apple Intelligence. So your phone does everything for you. You don't have to think much, even for emails. So I get an email, do you agree with something? And AI just asks me, what's going to be your answer, yes or no? If I say yes, it gives me one option. If I say no, it gives me another option. But since when was sending emails so difficult in the first place that we need AI to do it for us, right? So, but it is coming, and we need to, how do I say, we need to approach it together and embrace it in the best possible way. Now, we try to blend, we should try to blend the AI with human empathy, because this is one thing that AI lacks at the moment. Redefine the engagement metrics. This is the question I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to tell you to think about. And then you need to personalize the learning. So instead of giving the students the question, what do you think about definition by, for example, Peter Drucker, like you said, that culture eats strategy for breakfast? No, I'm going to rephrase the question. I'm going to say, what do you think about the last statement I made? So they don't have it in front of them. They have to think about it. Now, these are the things that still AI cannot replicate that easily. Empathy, inspiration, curiosity, and imagination. But I believe that these are being a bit put down, in the background of the whole educational system. What else? Yes. So this is the question I promised that I will ask you. What do you think can be, I'm not asking for your response, by the way. So I'm just thinking to myself, what kind of metrics of student activity in class can I kind of envision to see and measure the students' actual engagement? Because those that we use maybe are not the best ones, right? So that was my question, and for everyone else to think about. Because whether you use and whether you are in AI-assisted classroom, most of you might think now, okay, we don't have that. Well, we don't have that either. We don't have AI-assisted classroom. But if your student has a phone or a laptop in your class, well, I believe it's AI-assisted, right? So how will I make them use your head more instead of the device? Because it's an easier way to go. I can just ask AI to give me very good responses for very different questions. Now, so again, the same question I posted before, right? How should I engage students in my class, right? How can I engage them more? What to do? Can you guess what was the answer? Use more ChatGPT. Not really, but it's something to that effect. That's why I said I'm going to talk about pizza. Give them free pizza, they will engage. Of course, this was a joke. The ChatGPT did not give this to me. I was just, playing with it myself. So it's a question that I can still not answer properly, but those results that I show you kind of are worrying to me right now. And yes, if you want to scan the QR code, the AI will bring you to my contact information. That's it. 3 minutes to spare.
Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. Actually, we had the opportunity to hear 3 extremely interesting presentations, and I suppose that you have also some interesting questions. So let's start discussion. Please, are there any questions? Mm-hmm. You have a question, Professor? Okay, excuse me if you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all of you for a very interesting presentation. All the presentations were very actual topics, especially contemporary business environments in economics, business and management. And first of all, I would like to express my pleasure because I see you again here at the Faculty of Economics, University of Kragujevac. I met two professors last year in Messina, and my great pleasure I want to express because I see here at the Faculty of Economics our dear colleague Vladimir Janukovic, who worked here earlier and we cooperated earlier. So thank you very much for responding to our invitation. And your presentation was very, very insightful and very interesting to me. And you talked to me, learned a lot about how AI affects education system generally. I mean, in primary school, secondary school, and here at higher education. It's very interesting to me
just
personally.
spoke about my college.
Yes, yes, I know.
So
but yes, only have kids in elementary and secondary school, we have the problem with, with this. You mentioned the importance of balancing of AI with human empathy and avoiding over-reliance on technology. Personally, I'm interested in how to convince students not to use AI too much and how to prevent AI from writing essays for final papers from students. And from your expertise and your practice, what would you suggest for our professor? What are the specific tools and strategy, how to prevent and to solve this problem? Because sometimes, and this is very, very interesting, your results. We have a higher degrees, average mark, excellent. We have excellent work. You may evaluate with maybe 10 mark, but when you ask something personally and talk about something, you see that it's not it. So I would like to hear your...
Yeah, should I stand up? What's the procedure? Should I sit down?
No, you don't need to,
stand up. Okay. Thank you. That's actually, that's a great question. We are actually debating this at our university. The first step for us, I'm not saying it's the best, is that we've kind of developed a policy, but it's not restrictive. We're not saying don't use it. We say use it. Because if you say don't use it, they will use it more. There is no, you cannot stop it. There are AI tools that can signal whether they use it or not. So you can kind of catch them. It's not working as well. These AI tools also say we are not 100% accurate. And please do not judge students' work solely based on our results because they're not accurate. So you cannot, something that affects academic or personal career, this is not something that you can easily play with. So my idea and what I'm advocating for is to actually show them the imperfections of AI, show them that it can be misleading. So go through with them. And we also have some assignments where we say, okay, use ChatGPT, and then I want you to reflect on. I want you to tell me where the problem was. Find mistakes, right? And these were graded assignments, by the way. We are facing even bigger problem now because some of the faculty members are so keen on using AI that they're recommending us to use ChatGPT to grade students' work. Many faculty members are using it. We can laugh all we want, but they use it. And they even told us what prompts to use. It's crazy. So I was thinking if students use ChatGPT to write the assignment, then I use ChatGPT to grade the assignment, then ChatGPT is communicating to itself. What's the point? So it's kind of crazy. But that's what I'm thinking. So give them assignment to use. And so use ChatGPT. Which prompts did you use? And which mistakes did you find? I don't know anything. I'm not smarter than anyone here, but... If you tell them this is not good for you, again, in my experience, when I was a student, this wouldn't work until you show me and I see that there was actually a problem, that I see that there is an issue, that it gave me something that doesn't exist, something that I am at risk of failing the course or, My pleasure.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Please, Professor Vesna.
Thank you very much. I would like to also thank all the keynote speakers for their excellent presentations. And especially, I would like to single out my dear colleague, Maria Cristina Cinici, whose presentation was extraordinary, and it was closest to my area of scientific interest and research. I'm very happy today we have Maria Cristina as a keynote speaker in Kragujevac, because she's an extraordinary researcher and one of the most wonderful person I ever met. So thank you, Cristina, for this opportunity to see you again in Kragujevac. My question is for Maria Cristina, concerns the impact of artificial intelligence to neuroscience. We listened today much about artificial intelligence, and your speech, your presentation was about neuroscience. And I would like to hear your opinion about the connection between these areas and your prediction how these connections is going to be in the future. But if it is possible to predict something.
My first reaction to your question is that, reality can do much more than our imagination, than my imagination. If we think, for example, to Neuralink, so first of all, what I know is that artificial intelligence has grown thanks to the neuroscientific research, neuroscientific insights. So neuroscience informed a lot the artificial intelligence progress. At the same time, what I can see is that from the point of view of the research, we don't have so much papers on this link. Reality, real world case, for example, Neuralink, says us that there is a connection that firms are using both tools or are combining both tools to manage, to basically to phase some of their activities. For example, again, Unilever, for example, is combining neuroscientific games for employees, and also then they analyze with AI the answers to this game for the hiring process. And what they say is that the hiring process is much more efficient right now. They have records on these kind of activities. So we have real world cases in which the two tools are combined, and it seems that they are giving new opportunities for firms to be more efficient. For example, in the hiring process, so in the managing of workers. What I can say is that for the future of AI, of course, marketing again is the most prolific areas for its interest in consumers, but also innovation and strategies can say a lot about this. So on how to manage this area. And eventually they have to talk. It's a sort of an interconnection. It's a sort of neuroscience can inform AI, and then AI can provide tools to neuroscience to face some activities. So they cannot be now. We can see a future together. Okay, what I can say is that we will see more examples, more activities that will be exploited together.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's continue this discussion, please, Mariana.
No, you don't
need to.
Okay. firstly to introduce myself. My name is Mariana from Faculty of Economics. Firstly, I want to thank all keynote speakers for excellent, really interesting presentation, and it's really inspiring for us young researchers. I hope that the other public have also enjoyed. I have one question for Professor Vargas Sanchez. I would be curious to hear your thoughts about potential paradoxical demands in the context of harmonious enterprise. For example, how do you view the balance between centralization versus decentralization, exploration versus exploitation, global versus local? How do you think a harmonious enterprise can address all these competing demands? And one more question, if I can, for Professor Janopoulos. What do you think, and what is your experience with some software solution for AI detection? Do you recommend something, and what is your opinion and experience? Thank you in advance.
Oh, thank you. Let me stand up because there's a screen between both of us. Well, I would say that the answer to your pertinent question is that harmonious enterprise is context specific. So it depends on the context, depends on the cultural context, depends on the situation of the company. It's not the same if the company is in a healthy situation from a financial point of view, or it's in a financial crisis. It's context specific. So there is no one single way to say, well, this is harmonious, this is not. And of course, there are different levels. So one of the main challenges I have as a researcher in this field, I began just a few months ago working on that, is how to measure harmony. Well, after answering your question in this way, this context specific, you gave me the opportunity to convey to you an invitation. I know, because of the papers in the parallel sessions, that there are people with a particular interest of working in the field of tourism, which is of my main area of research. The management of companies and destinations, tourist companies and destinations. So what I'm doing right now is to adapt this idea, context specific, to a tourist destination. To which extent we can say that a tourist destination, for example, Belgrade as a tourist destination, is an harmonious tourist destination. How to measure the level of harmony? This is a big challenge for us as researchers, because I can tell you that nothing has been done in this field. It's an absolutely virgin field of research. Novelty is guaranteed. Okay, so if some of you can join me in this effort, I invite you to keep in touch and work on it. So I can share with you some progress I have done in this field, although it's a long way still to go. But answering your question is context specific. But thank you to you.
Maybe we can use neuroscience to measure harmony.
Who knows? And ChatGPT.
Wait, in some
field. Artificial intelligence.
Just to address the provocation of Alfonso. In Italy, we have a group that is called Harmonic Group, and it's one of the larger groups of firms in Italy. It's a group that deals with innovations, and they started to work on neuroscience to measure basically the harmony. And one of my PhD students is the fellowship of one of my PhD students is funded by this group to measure harmony, and he's starting, so we can discuss about that.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, the KPI in this case it's a challenging matter. It's a challenging duty for us.
But anyway, if you go into Scopus or Web of Science and do a search about harmonic enterprise or harmony and enterprise, something like that.
Harmonic innovation. Yeah.
No results are released, or very few with no clear connection with what we are talking about. So
it's an emergent.
A research, so emergent.
Emergent.
Absolutely.
Professor Giannopoulos,
Yep.
let's hear your answer.
Well, since Professor Wagner stood up, I have to stand up.
Fine.
Anyway, thank you for the question. I mentioned GPT-0, Zero GPT, CopyLeaks, CrossFlag, Quillbot, Humanize AI. I use 6. And they say the following. Our AI detector is advanced, but no detectors are 100% reliable, no matter what their accuracy scores claim. Never use AI detection alone to make decisions that could impact a person's career or academic standing. There is a disclaimer, use it at your own risk. So none of them is good. But if I suspect, if I put someone's work into these couple of things, by the way, they are paid, so they always catch you and they ask for money. But if you catch that like 3 out of 4 show you high percentage, then there is something to be concerned about. But you need to use your judgment first. So we cannot fight AI with AI. We need to fight AI with our natural intelligence, I would say. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
I can share the links with you if you want, because this is, I just read them quickly.
Thank you. Let's hear more questions. We have enough time for a few more questions, if there are some. Okay. If we don't have any more questions, I would like to thank all keynote speakers once again, and all conference participants, as well as the program committee and the organizing committee for bringing all of you together at the Faculty of Economics in Kragujevac at this year's conference. The plenary session is now completed, and we invite you to the ceremonial academy devoted to the 64th anniversary of our higher education institution. Please join us in the amphitheater upstairs. After the academy, we will have lunch, and then we will continue according to the conference program. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.